Hey everyone, picked up this from Dick Smith yesterday for 50 bucks. It's a travel cooler, 12 can capacity according to the website, so looks like it'll be good. Today I'm going to show you how to hardwire it into your car. Now this is a little beauty as it fixes the need for a center console. I don't need to replace the bench seat, and I get a fridge, and I've got cup holders, which is even better. Okay, so first thing I had to read was the instructions to find out how much power it's going to pull. Now here it says, let's see, focus, 60 watts 5 amps with an 8 amp internal fuse, which is beautiful because that means I don't need to put a fuse in elsewhere, but I'm going to anyway. So I'm going to throw a 10 amp fuse in with my constant power coming from my dashboard. Now if I had a chance I would show you how to run a wire from the battery all the way through to the dashboard and stuff, but I've already got a switch here which currently isn't hooked up to anything, but I know for a fact because when I was sussing out behind the dashboard the other week I found that has constant 12 volt to it, so I'll be using that switch today to power the fridge. Now as everyone's not going to hardwire these things, they do come with a cigarette lighter plug, but I've already confirmed using many sources that I can just snip this thing off and just use this same cable to hardwire it. So I'm going to run that down and out of the way, and it's going to be beautiful. One thing you're going to need to do for this is find a spot where you can run the cables out of the way. So with Betsy, she's quite good because she has a two-piece vinyl floor, so I can just slide this open, there's Velcro underneath it. I'll be able to slide the cable up through here to my gear stick surround and then pop it out the back here to run straight up here to my switch, which will be great. One thing that is a bit of a pain though is they gave me about 50 meters of bloody wiring, which is fine if I was installing it in the boot or the back seat or something, but all this extra wire will be irrelevant, so I can piss all that off soon. But for now I'm going to keep it because while running it you never know how much you might need and how much you might need to keep. So I'm going to keep as much of this wire as I can for now, and then I can always shorten it later. But also I'm going to keep some spare wire and have it tucked up out of the way in case I decide to move the fridge to a different car, or I decide to move it somewhere else within the car and I might need the more wire. Okay, now that's the fiddly bit done. I've managed to sneak it in underneath there. One thing that makes life a lot easier is when you leave the heads on them half the time, because it gives you something big and thick to grab hold of with your hand once you've wedged your hand under the carpet to try and get hold of it. Now some cars you might not have the actual room to give that a go, but if you can, that is the quickest, simplest way to do it, is if you can fit that through the gap you need to, keep the plug on it because it's something to grab onto to help you yank everything through. Now once you've got it to the gear surround, you'll just need to pop your gear surround back in place. For every car this may be different. For the Cruiser it's actually fairly simple. You just need to tuck everything up and around, back in, and tuck the vinyl back under the rubber of the gear surround. Now I'm just going to run this up to the back of the gear surround in a second, so I'm not going to fully tuck it in yet. Okay, so I got that nicely in position up the back of the gear surround. So now it should be just a simple case of running it straight up to my switch just here. So before we continue any further, this is one reason I like to leave the plug on it, is that I've gone and run all the cabling. Now to make sure I haven't busted the cabling up yet or done anything before I pull it apart, I can plug it into the cigarette lighter socket and test it out. There we go, power's on, the fridge is going. I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but there's a little motor going, and this gives you a quick base state to check that everything is still working before you go cutting anything apart. So for now, she's working fine, and I could leave her as is if I was going to run her off the cigarette lighter, but I'm not going to. I'm going to hardwire it to that switch next to the cigarette lighter, so I can have it running pretty much as I want it, not as per the accessories turned on so everything else is on. Okay, so to progress on in the next part of this thing, you will need a box of crimp connectors. Now you can solder, but I'm going with crimpy connectors because I want to still be able to remove it. I don't want it permanent. If I need to pull it out for some reason, I can. Now you'll also need a set of wire cutters and strippers and joiners. I've got 2 sets because sometimes one set is great for some stuff, not for others. So I've got 2 sets so I can do a set of pliers in case you need to plier stuff. And that should be all you really need. Some electrical tape would also be good if you need to electrical tape stuff up, or heat shrink in your waterproofing. So electrical tape and heat shrink can be used to waterproof. If I'm getting water this far inside my cab, then I've got issues, and because I'm using this style of covered and sealed joiners, I'm not so concerned because it's going to be behind the dash. Nothing's going to get to it. It's not going to be getting rubbed, pulled, that sort of thing. So it's up to you what you want to do. I'm going for the quick, simple, easy way to do it. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so you got to pay attention as you pull it apart. I've found out that my white wire is my positive wire. My black wire is my earth wire, which is fairly consistent with how you normally would find wiring. Normally something with a colour, white, red, etc. will be your power, and normally just straight black is normally your earth. So I've just got to snip all this apart and get my 2 wires, and then I can run them up into the back of my dashboard, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, so every car may be different, but I've managed to just run that straight up there and in through here to get out to my little socket. Now there's the back of my switch, which has 12 volt running, and I just looked under the bonnet. There is actually a 10 amp fuse under the bonnet on that wire, so that means that I've got double fuses, 2 10 amp fuses running my fridge. So I've got twice the redundancy, but I've also got twice as much shit that can go wrong, which to me isn't that big a deal because it just means I've got to make sure to look in 2 places if my fridge stops working. But I'm happy with that. So I'll have this switch. Now on the back of this switch, this one earths out to give me a light. That's my power coming in, and this will be my out to the fridge on the bottom side. So as you're looking at home, center is power in, left is earth out for the light in the switch, and right is power out once the switch is on. So that's how this one will be running. Okay, now at each level of this, I like to check that everything's working. So I've got the white wire plugged in to power as it should, and the black wire, I made a patch cable and I've run that off to an earth somewhere. So you just need to find a good earth, patch your earth out, now you just test the switch. I don't know if you can hear that, but she works. So I've got on, and I've got off. As you can see by the volt gauge, currently sitting 12.2. Whack her on, so it pulls 0.3 volts, which, considering the car's off, that shouldn't really matter. I bet you if I start the car, she'll probably pull a hell of a lot less. Okay, so after a quick neaten up of wiring and running an earth, now running an earth on every 4-wheel drive is going to be different. So it's best to check with your own vehicle manufacturer or your handbook or an auto elect to find out where a best spot to run an earth is. Now I already had an earth point installed for my radios and my other equipment, so I ran them all back to the same earth point, which is running back to the battery. So that's the way I do it, but every 4-wheel drive may be different. You might have factory earth points somewhere, so best to check. But now I can turn that on. Now you can't see the light. Not sure whether the light in it's dead or whether it's just, oh yeah, the light in it's dead. So new switch will be on the way, but the switches are easy enough to switch. You just pop this cover out, change the switch over, Bob's your uncle. I've had that switch lying around for God knows how long. I've got another switch somewhere which I might change out in a second. So, but on, off. You can see, on, off. Oh, what's that? Switch is on. Oh, I can hear it running. Oh, what's this? Oh, cold beer. Cold beer. Oh, I'm excited. Oh, look at that. It's cold beer. Oh, now I've got a cup holder too. Even better. Might have put a stubby holder in that. Stubby cooler. But yeah. Cold beer. Cold beer. And just a word for advice for young players. When you're installing a fridge and using crimp terminals, don't spill the bloody box. This will take me at least 20 minutes, half an hour to pick up, sort out and clean up. So yeah, just don't do it.